What puppet might you have played with as a kid? What do you remember from some of your favorite children television shows? I do show my age, as I grew up with Casey and Finnegan on Mr. Dressup, and I so wanted my own tickle trunk. As a secret, I have one of my own now as an adult, and it's full of lots of playtime treasures. I also grew up with Sesame Street, the Muppets, Mr. Rogers, and the Friendly Giant. They all had puppets who shone a light on the day with life lessons to encourage our growth as good human beings. I had paper bag puppets, a cardboard theater, at a life-size playhouse marionettes, just like Pinocchio, finger puppets, and more as I became a dance teacher and developed my creative teaching style. When I turned 40, I joined into a self-publishing company with my mom and my sister to create a book. We each wanted to publish one item. And with this publishing company, we named it Wayne's Publishing, it became the release of my first book, my first children's book, which is Stacey on the Keyboard. And for my birthday, for my 40th birthday, I said I wanted to celebrate with a whole bunch of little people. So I had a birthday party with children all under the age of 6 that came to my party. And the little mouse that lived under the dance studio floor, Stacey, was a center attraction for that, along with all of our little cheese appetizers and ideas and activities that came with that. We ended up developing a full imagination kit as a result of that birthday party, and it went from there. So just like Peter Pan, I've never really grown up. So joining me today is Irene Widdup, my creative teaching business partner from Imagine Dance. And I interviewed Irene for part 1 of this 3-part series. And today we're going to turn the tables as she interviews me, and we hope that you're going to enjoy the banter. You're listening to Season 1, Episode 15, Puppet Power with Stacey on the Keyboard.
Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me back, Miss Michelle. And it is my pleasure to be interviewing you, the master, for this special series. So yay, this is going to be such an exciting afternoon for me. And already I'm just bursting with excitement because, of course, I see this beautiful puppet, this white seal, and just gorgeous. Yes, he's so cute.
This is Snowball.
Snowball. Hello, Snowball. How are you? Oh, does Snowball have
good? Oh, really good. I came in from the cold.
Oh, yeah. Snowball. I heard that you climbed up the hill, that you're living in some snow on the hill. Is that true?
Is it true? He's nodding his head, yes. Yeah, so the ice came in at the ocean, and he couldn't find his way back to the ice, so he wandered his way away from the ocean and ended up in the field over here. And Snowball, you have been having fun playing around in the snow up here, haven't you?
Yeah. Oh, Snowball, you're so cute. Aw. And do you have any brothers or sisters, Snowball?
Oh, I have 12.
Oh, my goodness. That's a large family.
Did you leave them all down at the shoreline? My brother was bugging me. Aha. So you really didn't crawl away from the ice. You actually was trying to get away from your brother. Aha. He's nodding his head.
That's so fun. Well, I know that you always invite us to your podcasts and ask if we have brought a special tea with us. And I know I brought mine. It already has lipstick on the cup. And I chose my Choose Love tea, which, if anyone's watching, is an awesome tea. It's brewed by this lovely lady here. And I just absolutely love it. But what do you have today in your teacup, Miss Michelle?
Oh, today, actually, I'm using my Alberta friendship mug. So a friend of mine, when we moved from Alberta, had passed it 1 mug to each of her friends that was moving away. So this is my friendship mug. And inside, I actually have turmeric with oat milk inside with a little bit of honey. And it's just a nice, smooth. I was trying to think of more on the children's side of tea. I'm not sure if turmeric is, but it's a lovely drink.
It's a lovely cup too. And I like that it has sort of the fields, right? And then it's got the mountains and the waters, lakes of Alberta. So yeah, beautiful. Good memories. Well, I'm going to start you by asking your first question here. Michelle, you started to talk about the publication of your first book, Stacey on the Keyboard. Tell us a little bit about how you created the character of Stacey. Who I know well. I love Stacey. Snowball, not to put you away, Snowball, but we're gonna just talk to Stacey for a bit.
Exactly. So Stacey is over here on her sled. What I found, and I know you found the same in the studio, was that we really needed action stories. We were building stories and telling stories, and they would come off the top of our head in order to be able to bring a story together for dancing it through or trying to emote particular kinds of emotions. And I just found I didn't have quite what I was looking for. And Stacey, actually, my grandfather at the time was actually dying at the time of cancer. And we'd gone to visit him. And when I said my last words to him, I said, I'm going to write you a story. And I was like, what story am I going to write was what I was thinking. And I kissed him goodbye. And then I went back to his house and I sat down at the kitchen table and out came Stacey. And this whole story just evolved. The character evolved, the ideas, everything that needed to happen. And it's kind of a funny story in a way. I mean, I know my grandfather passed away, but he also didn't have the opportunity to finish school. And so he read and he wrote because he got that far in school before he had to work on the farm. But he actually resented everybody in the family who had more education because he had so wanted to learn more and didn't have that opportunity. So I'm not sure how that story came to be, that I all of a sudden had Stacey, but she just appeared that night, and that's when the story got wrote. And it's all action-based, so that everything that you're doing, you read a page, and then you can go and you can dance it, you can play with it, you can expand it.
Yeah. Well, that's a wonderful story. That's such a great tribute to your grandfather. And I truly believe that people that pass help us. And, I feel like maybe he had his hand in there helping you and getting those ideas maybe, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, getting that inspiration into you there. Mm-hmm. So writing a book is a great sense of accomplishment. But you didn't stop there. You actually created your own CD. So you're so amazing.
Fearless, just fearless.
So what made you believe that this was possible? What made you go for it?
Yeah. And if I had stayed only in Alberta, then it would have been, you needed a record deal, you needed to sign with someone, all these things that you needed to do. And we were traveling back and forth to Cape Breton and visiting here, and all the musicians here had a CD. And we would be interacting with people who had CDs. And I was like, wow, people do that. Mm-hmm. It was amazing. Yeah. And I thought, okay, well, if they could figure it out, then I should be able to figure it out, is what my thought was. But then I was back in Alberta, and it's like, okay, there's no recording studios just around the corner. And at that time, too, people couldn't record in their homes as we're doing since COVID. All of us have recording equipment. But in those days, that just wasn't possible. And so I thought, all right, what about if I reach out to Dan the Music Man, one of my absolute favorite children entertainers, and see, is there a possibility that we could do some kind of recording if I could kind of guide the way the music needed to go so it would meet the needs of the book and meet the needs of the other book that I wrote after that for Peter on the drums. And Dan was wonderful. He said, this sounds like a great project. I was like, okay. And the other interesting piece of that was I didn't really set out to write the CD, except that when we got on the plane to travel to Cape Breton on one of our trips, I got on the plane with a pad of paper, and I said to my husband, I have to write a CD don't talk to me. So it's a long trip from Calgary to Halifax. Anyway, I wrote nonstop for the entire flight. And when we landed, I had written all of the music that I wanted. I wrote all the lyrics out. And I had the idea of what each piece would do for the storybook. And again, it was another one of those, it was just there and it happened. And then when Dan said, yes, I can make it happen for you, then it was like, okay, this could be real.
Oh, that's awesome. And what a great gift and blessing for you to have, that it just poured right out like that, right? And collaboration, isn't it awesome when you get to collaborate with someone and you just feed off of that excitement and imagination and creativity off of each other? I know that I felt that with you, myself working with you as well, that, you know, we get together and just all these ideas, and then it just becomes even bigger and even more special. So I'm sure that working with Dan would just created this even better bond and special, relationship. And that just even fed right into the book and the whole concept for you even more. And right. And you've learned so much from that. Yeah. Collaboration. And Dan is awesome. So if anyone hasn't had the chance to see his work, I know Michelle's got some special things of his that she's got a podcast with him, and she's tagging on a bit of a special something at the end of this with Dan the Music Man as well. So how has this helped you with your puppets?
Oh my goodness. So having music means that you can target the things that you'd like to be sharing with students. And also for you and I, it's always been about the imagination that the children are able to express, and the way that they can use their bodies, use dance, use the music to all celebrate who they are and learn the skills that they need to learn. And so that's what the music provided. And Stacey, too, has provided the opportunity of a lot of great storytelling outside of Stacey on the keyboard and Peter on the drums. She's also provided a great way for me to be able to work with very shy students, for her to be able to talk about the things she can't do because her legs are shorter or her feet are smaller. She can't reach up to the top of the piano like all the kids can. So the ways that she's limited, but then how she can explore with other people what they can do, and then how she can be a part of that. So it's a really great way to segue in. We are all different. We all have things that we can and can't do. And then how do we help each other? And it's been wonderful for the way that the stories can kind of evolve through the puppet. And I certainly couldn't do that myself. I just become the adult in the room, and now I'm the grandma in the room. So that makes it even different because I'm a little bit that much more removed from things, unless, I'm working as a grandma and taking on that kind of role while I'm teaching. But Stacey brings everything down to the kids' level, and she allows the opportunity for them to interact and be present with someone their size and their opportunity, or their skills are stronger than what Stacey has. They get to be leaders, and that's also really important.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. That's great, because yes, it is something that they need to learn, right? Understanding that we're all different in a variety of different ways. And what better way to do that by bringing it out through a puppet, right? And learning that together. And then also just learning that anyone can do it. And anyone can have, and then it leads to your ideas can be as big as you want, and your dreams can come true, which you're living proof of, which is, just with the whole CD, a book. Oh, I'm going to do a CD, and poof, it just happens, that it's possible. And then with Stacey, she's bringing that to the kids, those hopes and dreams that the kids have. They too can do anything. Anything is possible. It doesn't matter what differences we have, and bringing everyone together and sharing in that. So that's awesome. Yeah, puppets do a great job of doing that. Hey, I noticed that she has, I'm going to just kind of put in a little extra, but I noticed she has an outfit on. Does Stacey have lots of different outfits?
Oh, yeah. She loves dress up. And what child does not like dress up and being able to take on the personality of whatever you like and the make-believe? So this is Stacey's fairy outfit. She has wings on the back for those that can't see her at the moment. They're pretty big wings. And she's got beautiful flowers in her hair. and she's got a lovely, colorful dress on. She has 2 trunks full of clothes, so she can be at the beach in a grass skirt and a bikini. She could be a queen. I have a cape just behind me here. I have shorts and t-shirts, so if she's going to go play in the garden, then she can do that. And it provides the opportunity to talk about dress up, personas, the things you want to do with your character. If you want to have hats on your head or special glasses that you wear, things that people could identify you with, we can talk about and explore all of those ideas. And yeah, and the trunks are full.
What a great segue, right? And a learning opportunity for the kids, because dress up is such a critical component of play, and because it just allows for that imagination. And so here we are with a puppet that probably has more dress up clothes than Barbie. I'm thinking probably right now. If I know Michelle as well as I do, I'm sure that and this is Peter.
This
right?
is Peter. Yeah. So Peter's got a t-shirt on. Yeah, he likes, and he's always, with the collar, he likes to have a collar and things. So he's kind of proper about the way things are. And he has his own drum kit. So behind me, just do a little reach across here. So in the Peter on the Drum storybook, I wanted to do things about rhythm and about foot patterns and listening to the rhythms and understanding the power of music. So he has this little drum kit that he can play, which if I turn it on, oop, that didn't work. Anyway, so that's Peter. So he gives the opportunity for me to really expand musicality and patterning, but also to take where Stacey can do pitter patters across the floor. She could do jazz rolls and splits. She might do leaps, those kinds of things, which are lighter with the feet. Then Peter comes in, and he does more things that are stomping with the feet. So the things that you'd have in tap or step dance, where you're making the rhythms down into the floor. And we get to explore that through the drums, patterning of the drums, counting, and then what he wants to do with his feet. So you can see how easy it is to take one puppet and expand ideas and be able to explore so much more than I could say, here's where we're going to do tap now. But that's not as much fun as how would Peter do tap, and then how would you do tap, and then what can we share and get to know.
Yeah, exactly. I think that it stimulates different learning modes or triggers in our mind, especially for kids, right? So then it's not boring. It's not boring to learn, and they get to just learn through this imaginative process. And so it's just triggering and stimulating them into being excited about learning, and then they absorb everything. Plus, I mean, if you're a visual learner and a tactile, depending on your learning modes, right? So this is a great way for kids to be super involved and get it, because if they're learning to tap or something, those drums, they'll just remember those drums and the sounds, and will always remember Peter, right? So it just makes it so much more exciting. Yeah, it's great. Okay, so you and I both have used themes throughout our choreographies and programs. Do you believe that they have inspired you to be a better teacher? And do you think they've inspired your dancers to be more involved in their performances?
Before we started really teaching with themes, I remember it was like, what am I going to do today? I've done the same step for the last 3 weeks, and it was just like so much work to try to figure out how we were going to inspire. And taking creative teaching methods down in the States. I remember when I came back, I was just so, oh my gosh, so inspired. And I came back to tell you, I learned all these amazing things, and I repainted the studio. I filled it full of props. I added the puppets. I had black lights went into the ceiling. I had sparkles. I had like everything you could think of that could be inspiring for children to think they were on the stage. And all of a sudden work became, I can hardly wait to get to the studio today. We're going to be, and I had the theme would be figured out. The theme might be for the month. It might be for a unit. So it could be across 6 or 8 weeks. It could just be for the day, but it changed everything. It changed when kids came running through the door. They'd be coming through with their bags, throwing the bags in the corner, and they're like, what are we doing today? And they were so excited about it, which is a lot different than come in, put down your bag, go sit at your center, and then wait for the teacher. You know, it just doesn't have the same excitement as we get to play and I can hardly wait. And especially over these last 2 years where children have not had the opportunity to run and jump and you know, jump into that group, they've been a lot more reserved, or some of them may not have even had the opportunity to be with friends, then this is going to make a big difference for them. And I think that by using themes, we can really target the kinds of lessons we want to be able to share. And two, in this last 2 years, what are going to be some of those key pieces that we want to be sharing with the kids? It is safe to interact with other people. It is safe to hold hands and spin in a circle. It is safe to be able to go across the floor marching and be beside your buddy. So all those lovely things, but we can do that all through themes where they lose track of those fears because they're so interested in the story. They forgot that there was a reason that they shouldn't be doing something. They just want to be in the story and they want to be telling the story too. And so work becomes play and dance becomes play. And then we have the lovely results, which I think you'll agree with, is when we get to stage time or we get to show time, then that's where they're just telling a story. And they've been telling that story and it's comfortable and they've rehearsed it, they've practiced it, and they know how they can be. So it's lovely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have to say and testify to what you just said. It's very true, Michelle, that you went down to the States, and I remember it like it was yesterday. You came up to do a workshop and we were visiting, and you put forward all this new material in front of me, and I got so excited. And it was at a point in my teaching career where it was just so monotonous. I wasn't enjoying teaching. And particularly in our dance world, we work with syllabuses, right? And we're preparing kids for examinations. And if you think examinations sounds dry, it was dry, because, there's a certain standard that they have to be. And we were so focused on that. And it just brought a whole new level of teaching in a different method for me. And it changed my entire perspective and my whole life, actually. And what made it even more exciting, and I know that this is exactly what you said, is that you got so excited to teach that excitement then just, filters into your classroom, and then the kids are excited. And telling stories and that imaginative world is so important. I know in our studio, that's all I rarely do classical ballet, because to me, it doesn't tell a story. It always has to be a character of some sort. And the students that we have both developed have enjoyed stories. They enjoy acting out. They enjoy imagination, and that they've developed these personalities where they are very animated people now, going forward into the future, and strong and confident leaders because of that, through those performances that they've learned how to tell a story. And now even public speaking, can be something that's easier for them because they've had those moments, right? Through the arts and doing these things. And it's just so exciting. And I don't even know how all the puppet stuff started. I just know I had this puppet, and how we just melded together, and it just changed our lives. It was truly just an aha moment, wasn't it? It's amazing how, and it just made it so much more fun. So you don't put the key in the door and go, it's like, turn the key, let's get in there, let's get to work, and then the ideas just explode. And that's what makes it so much fun, right?
Exactly. And I think too, as adults, because we do get wrapped up in the responsibilities we have to deliver a service or to develop the skills that are required, or if you're an educator in the school system, then, you're trying to make that end of the year academic success that you're supposed to have. And you get lost in the world of the adult in your head. And when you go back to playtime and you remember, what is it like to have that awe of discovery instead of the delivery of information, but that awe of how do we play with this? It just changes everything. And play is so important. And just we were talking before we hit record for this, we were talking about you weren't on the screen yet, and I was waiting, and I was playing with Newton, and I was doing the chicken dance with him, and I was thinking, this is so much, like I just completely got lost. My day disappeared, and I was just like, this is just so beautiful. And that's what you want. That's what you want your days to be like. That's what you want your interactions to be, even as adults.
Exactly. And I even just thought, just when we were talking right now, I thought, okay, so now, here we are as the teacher, and we've brought this excitement and passion and new way of teaching to our students. And then when we take the performance, not only does it help the student to build a beautiful performance because they're 100% invested in it, because they're truly their character, right? But then when they perform it on stage, their audience gets the result as well. And it just keeps going. It's like the ripple effect, right? So it doesn't just stop at the kids, then it goes on to the adults. And how many shows have we had where, the adults come to you and say, that was an amazing show. I really enjoyed that. And for them to be watching and seeing the stories unfold before them, and seeing how real it is for their children, or for the children that are performing that they don't even know, and that these kids have brought it to real life for their audience. What an exciting experience for the people watching as well. And then they become involved, and then their whole attitude changes now too, right? Now they're happy and feel excitement, and they really felt something from that performance. And the base foundation, the base root was the puppet, right? And the story that evolved from it, and the imagination and theme. So that's what's so powerful and exciting. Okay. So you mentioned Newton, and that he was learning to do the chicken dance. So tell me a little more about Newton, and why is Newton so special? And you can tell us a little about his buddy Kepler as well, please and thank you. Hi, Newton. How are you? Welcome to today's show.
What?
It's so good to see you.
He's playing shy. So for those people that are listening, he's covered up his eyes, which is lovely to do with a puppet, because you can play peekaboo and you can hide. You can do so much expression with them. And the Folkmanis puppets have such movable mouthpieces and the eyes and the whole head that you can get full expression. So not just the mouth moves, but everything can be moving and expressing. So yeah, this is Newton, Newton Little Beak, I call him. And Newton is actually going to be an ambassador for the Choose Love movement. Newton's job is actually for the celebrations coming up in June, which will be honoring Jesse Lewis's birthday. And Jesse Lewis loved ducks. And when he was little, he'd have lots of ducks in the bathtub. But Newton here is a puppet. And so he's going to be coming in to show people how they could play a little bit more with puppets. So his name is Newton, after Sir Isaac Newton. And what I learned about Sir Isaac Newton, he was a famous scientist, and he helped us discover all kinds of laws of physics, which we use throughout everything that we do now. But he actually was very, very nervous about sharing his knowledge. he was worried that people would make fun of him because his ideas were different. And so he didn't have the courage to always share what he knew. And because of that, many people shared the theories that Newton had ahead of Newton because he withheld his information. And so I think that's a valuable lesson as part of the Choose Love formula. Choose Love formula has courage, gratitude, forgiveness, and compassion. And courage is right at the top. You need to have the courage to be able to express yourself and be who you need to be, and maybe step up if you need to say something. So Newton is going to be the ambassador of courage, making sure you use your courage so you don't get forgotten or missed because you're too shy. So that's his job.
Well, that's awesome. What a great job. Good job, Newton. Mr. Courageous. That's awesome.
And so Newton was practicing the chicken dance before you came on. So he was doing da 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 da, and then his feet were doing dun 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 dun. So I was working on his hip wiggle. So for those that were listening, I've got a beak, some wings, a bum wiggle, and then his little feet are doing a little tap dance on the bottom. So that's Newton.
Now you said you also have a buddy of his named Kepler.
Yes. Now Kepler was a scientist as well, Johann Kepler, and he actually had ideas, but he didn't know how to develop them. And so Newton ended up taking his ideas and knowing how to expand them. So that is about the compassion in action, reaching out to each other to be able to help each other. We have ideas, we have great ways to do things, but sometimes we need each other to bring them forward. And you and I know that already because we've buddied up on lots of things. But this is Newton. I understand that his sound that he makes, the chirp, isn't so good across the internet, but it's a lovely little whistle that he has. And so he's a little tiny one, but his actions will be able to share his message too.
Oh, that's so sweet. And so you translate for him then?
I do. Yeah.
That's fun. That's super fun. All right. Well, what is one game that Stacey taught you that was a surprise?
Oh, this was so much fun. This was part of the birthday present, actually. When I was celebrating my 40th birthday, we did the party. And I was looking for activities that we could participate in. And one of our favorite activities in the studio has always been the limbo. And we could do the limbo, a tap version, jazz version, hip hop version. There were so many versions. But it was always underneath like the broomstick, or we had a long pole. And I had some fabric left over that we had used for a previous show as a backdrop, which we had spray painted with all kinds of things. And I turned it into bricks, and then I cut a archway in it, and it was wide because you could hang it multi-dimensionally. You could hang it around 2 sticks instead of 1, so it had depth to it. And so it became the mouse hole. And so we would limbo underneath the mouse hole, and some of the dancers would go up in the center and hide in the center and do a little dance and then come out the other side. So that's been a lot of fun, and I had forgotten about that. I haven't done it for a couple of years, but I found the fabric the other day, and I just started chuckling, thinking about how much fun we've had going underneath the mouse hole. So that's one of my favorites.
Oh, that sounds like an awesome time. Yeah, we do the limbo, but at our studio as well, but never through a mouse hole. So I have to get a little bit more creative. Yeah. Thanks for the inspiration. That's awesome. So here's a big question. And actually I was thinking about it even myself. And what role do you think that puppets will play in the future?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
As I've been exploring just the whole puppet world, there is a big world out there. I hadn't realized how much, because I get lost in our own puppets in our little space. But I think that for children who have not been able to role play and have not been able to experiment with friends around them, to have boundaries of this is my truck and that's your truck, or those little exchanges that you have with little friends and those friends as you grow up. I think that role playing is going to be absolutely key. But I think that if we leave it up to children to do that through a game that's on a screen, it's not multidimensional. And so, yes, they can witness how things are done and they can hear people say things, but there's a whole other experience that happens when you have to role play it and you have to stand in a certain character and you have to resolve something. And we know from the years of learning dance how much practice it takes to perfect a step and maybe to perfect a performance. And so to think that children could look at something and learn that, if you have an angry thought, here's what you do. They've seen it, but it's not until you've stood in that position and you've experienced that anger come up, and then you've experienced how you helped yourself to transfer that information, how you exchanged with another person, how you thought yourself, role played some different scenarios. If I act this way, here's what's going to happen. And if I act this way, here's what's going to happen. And I think if we can do that through puppetry, they have the chance to try on different roles without having to wait until they get angry and then figure out what they're going to do, but actually role play through. And I think that puppets could really change the way children are going to be able to grow and learn in these next couple of years. And I think they're really, really important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have to agree with everything that you said. And I also feel that with puppets, with the whole pandemic and what we've gone through, I think it brought everyone back to our roots, our simplistic lives, because everyone was rush right before, right? And then this happened, and then it brought everyone back to, let's take walks. We're going to have a sit-down meal with our families, and then we're going to go for a walk, and just to the simple things of life. And puppets are actually quite simple, and they've been around for forever, but society tends to always try and reinvent the wheel sometimes, so to speak. So they're finding different ways of, let's do role play, but we're going to do it this way, and not really going back to the solid foundations and roots that we've had there forever. And I think that puppetry now will be even more acceptable because it's just so simple and basic, and it does such a powerful job. It completes the job. And I think a lot of people will be also more accepting of it. Even adults, like if you had spoken to a colleague of yours that was talking about how she works with puppets and adults. And I know that for me was eye-opening. I was like, what, adults? But, the more I thought about it, yeah. And because everyone has a child inside of them. And I think now going through this whole pandemic and learning how to bring ourselves to just a peaceful, calm base, a balance, finding balance. I hope some people have found balance in their lives through all this. And I think that puppetry is more accepting than, they'll accept it more and definitely seek it as a way to help them through different difficulties through their lives as well, right? So
absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that will be our future years. We're going to see some of this, more of these vintage ways of utilizing, because that's in right now, the vintage, right? All these are new, the young generation is into vintage things. And I think that puppetry will become very popular. I mean, it's not like that it went away, but I think it'll explode. That's what I feel, because there's just so much value with them. So, Michelle, you always like to finish with a dance exploration. So what would you like to share with us today?
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to share two things. So one, when I was preparing for today, this is my Stingray puppet. And he's
awesome.
Yeah, he is. He's just His wings, I just adore him. And I was lucky enough to swim with these lovely creatures and have just the most majestic time with them. And so I was thinking about what role does he play? And I was thinking about the Choose Love movement, and I was thinking about the formula. And we often talk about having a brave breath. And when you're a dancer and you're standing backstage waiting to go onto the stage, you always have that pit into the stomach of excitement, but oh my goodness, how did I get here and should I do this? There's just that last little piece before you go out on the stage, and then you hit the stage, and lots of times it's just like that pure excitement. And you're like, oh, this is why I do it. Sometimes it's not, because things happen, but for the most part, that's what happens. But there's that one moment where you have to find your courage. And so I was thinking about him, and I was thinking about how his mouth opens. So for those people who are listening on the podcast, there's a big opening at the front where they breathe. And so I was thinking about that brave breath, and I was thinking about how to use the puppet to just be able to have that brave breath come in, and then how when they close that breath off, how they could do their deep dive to swim. And after you've done that breath, what that means for you. So I'm just moving the puppet around in that opportunity to see what does it feel like after you've taken that brave breath. And it would be so easy to go right through the formula, of gratitude. And then what does that gratitude breath feel like? And then how do you swim? Anyway, so I wanted to share that because I haven't had a chance to really play with this puppet in a classroom setting. He's been at the house here, but I think he has a role to play as part of Choose Love. And so I think he may have to join Newton and Kepler. So
I love it. And I love that concept of a brave breath. Yeah, I'm going to use that because it takes courage to step out on a stage when at any age. And it's, a brave breath to go out and show what you've got to an audience. And and when you were moving him around like that, I was thinking of a contemporary class using it as a metaphor, right? If you were a stingray and showing a puppet, even to older students, they would just think and getting them to try moving the puppet themselves and then taking that into their body and showing the different levels of and space in their travel through the space that they're in. I'm excited. I think I have to do a stingray now.
See what happens? Right? One little puppet, and he's been sitting on the shelf too. And I just like, oh, there's something about him that's so special, and I haven't discovered it yet. But I think today I discovered him. So yeah, that's great.
Definitely, yeah. He's and very. When you said, what were the words you used when you were swimming with the stingrays? You had it was a magical or a majestic. Majestic.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And how can we move majestically through space, and capturing that. So what a great concept. Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So the last part is a special gift to everybody. Just while I was interviewing Dan for the podcast that's coming up, he shared with me this lovely claymation that he did as an arts project with a couple of other artists. So they took all the different art forms and brought them together, which was really cool. And it was storytelling. But then he was able to link it to one of his songs, his ABC song, his song about the alphabet. And so I'm going to share that little clip at the end. And for those people that are listening to the podcast, I encourage you to go to the YouTube channel if you want to check out anything visually that you've heard. And then you'll be able to see everything because it'll be on my YouTube channel as well. So Irene, thank you so much for flipping the tables around and doing the interview. It's been a lovely conversation. And I think we both sparked some ideas to go back and to play this week, which is also lovely. So
yeah, thank you. Thank you again for the opportunity. I loved it. And yes, I love it when I can participate in something. And I almost feel bad, but I feel like, I'm taking away all these wonderful ideas. It wasn't any work at all. So thank you for letting me be part of it and learning more, because that's the journey of life, right? It's just learning every step of the way. So thank you. That's awesome. Yeah. And I love all your puppets. I'm jealous now.
You'll be heading to the studio to play with yours, I know.
Yeah. Thank you.
So for those that have been listening, this is Be Well with Michelle Greenwell, and we're coming to the close of the season, and then we'll be launching season 2. Thank you so much for listening, and we hope that you'll share. And for those people that want to learn more about puppets, stay tuned, because Irene and I are busy putting the ideas into paper and into activities, and we look forward to sharing more. Thanks so much, everyone.
Bye for now.
So I'm just going to take a little segue into a chat that I've had with Dan, the music man, Dan Devion, and talking about storytelling in music and the arts, the role that the arts play in being able to support children with their social, emotional, character development. And so Dan is going to share a little bit about his story about what the arts world means for him. Hi, Dan.
Hey, hi, Michelle. Well, in this particular little song called Alphabet Soup, this came about as well as doing my performances and writing songs. I also do a after-school music program in Toronto under the name of ACE. And the wonderful thing about it is not only doing my own programs, I teach music with the kids. We do just singing, and we play ukulele, and I teach them piano. And there are the other teachers in a number of genres of art. And we have this particular video, I collaborated with the filmmaking teacher, a wonderful woman named Tanya, hi Tanya, who was doing some animation, and she works with puppets. She does lots of things. So she interpreted this song with the kids using some little clay animated puppet characters, So as well as there's hip hop, there's judo, there's all kinds of different programs that are offered. There's people like Miss Michelle. They're doing great programs with the kids. So anyway, this was a little cross collaboration, and hope you enjoyed. Here we go. It starts with me telling a little story, so here we go. Hi, I'm back. I'm Dan the Music Man. I was reading a story about a day when all the letters fell out of the library book. The kids didn't know what to do, so they put all the letters in a big pot of alphabet soup, stirred them up, and put them back in the book. So if you ever find a book with some words that are a little bit hard to read, it might be the Alphabet Soup book. Here we go.
Oh, nice book. Give it to me. Give it to me. You didn't say please. You have to say please before I can let you have the book. Oh, just give it to me. Give it to me. Be careful, it's from the library. Give it to me. Give it. Oopsie. Oh, not all the letters are out of the book. How am I supposed to read it now? Maybe we're going to put it back in the book. They're all mixed up. Let's make alphabet soup. Yeah. I'm so hungry. Make it. What do you think
lunch today I had alphabet soup, alphabet soup, alphabet soup. For lunch today I had alphabet soup, alphabet soup for lunch. With all the letters I made words to eat, words to eat, words to eat. With all the letters I made words to eat, words to eat for lunch. Everybody stir up the soup, lift up the spoon, say every letter, then put them together. Everybody stir up the soup, lift up the spoon, say every letter, then put them together. For lunch today I had alphabet soup, alphabet soup, alphabet soup. For lunch today I had alphabet soup, alphabet soup for lunch. Okay, everybody, stir up the soup, lift up the spoon, and look at the letters. Can you spell a word? Something to eat? A word to eat. All right, I have some letters. B-U-G, What does that spell? Bug? I don't really like bugs. Do you? Let's try again. F-R-O-G. That spells frog. Some people enjoy frog, believe it or not. Actually, frogs eat bugs. Try this one. B-R-Broccoli. Didn't think so. Okay, noodles, cheese, pizza, lollipops, hot dogs. For goodness sake, eat some fruit. Okay. Everybody stir up the soup. Lift up the spoon. Say every letter, then put them together. Everybody stir up the soup. Lift up the spoon. Say every letter, then put them together. For lunch today, I had alphabet soup. Alphabet soup, alphabet soup. For lunch today, I had alphabet soup. Alphabet soup for lunch. There. I let the credits run, so her name is in there. Tanya's name.
That is so beautiful. You know, I was just looking at the way that the kids were able to interact with the song, and the way that you could bring in so many other topics, and those kids were able to just figure out how they were going to manipulate everything and bring it together.
In the original video, of course, the kids are there, but because of all the permission forms and everything in schools, we're not allowed to actually show the children. So the video that was produced within the school for the parents and everything had much more of the actual children, you know, interacting. So that, but unfortunately, that's all we can show you.
That's beautiful.
Without the lawyers.
That just leads to a lovely way to realize the power of puppets and the power of make-believe and storytelling, which is what you specialize in and have done such a wonderful career in. Thank you, Dan, for explaining this piece for us for our puppet unit.
Oh, my pleasure.